Alrighty, boys and girls, welcome to tonight's episode of Sawdust Talk. I am TJ from TJT Workshop, filling in for Kyle. We got a great show tonight with Joe from JMay Woodworks. Ed and Sam are going to be on here in a minute, and people are going to start flowing in, like Patsy. Kinds of cool kids are here. Let's see what we got going on. And yes, I'm like 3 minutes early. What you gonna do about it? I suppose we could sing a song. We could sing a song. Hey, Patsy. Look at that. Kevin from K-Will is here. Oh, Joe is here. We're gonna try and invite him in. Let's see if we can do it. We'll have everybody slowly coming in. Look at this. Macy's here, Scott's here, Kevin's here. All the early birds. Hey, Joe.
How's it going?
Oh, it is superb. We are slowly going to be trickling in here. I got to send an invitation to Sam, and Ed should be popping in here in a second when it refreshes.
Hi, friends.
Hey.
How's it going?
I'm going to be over here mumbling to myself and gesturing at the phone like a weirdo as people start trickling in.
That's okay. Nothing new.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's
a standard issue. But, speaking of non-standard, you guys see I updated where I'm sitting in the shop. I've got dramatic, attractive lighting, tools and stuff.
Oh,
and
this
stuff
is very
and
different than your last office-looking space.
And there's Ed. Go live with Ed.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
All right.
Am I in the right place?
Who's this? Yeah.
This thing on?
Before the show's over, we're gonna probably give Ed a little bit of a hard time because of his milestone today, but it won't be a big deal. It'll be a very, very light ribbing because of your milestone today.
That is not why I came on here.
I know it isn't. You're here because you love me, and you've just come to profess your undying allegiance to the People's Republic of TJ. I knew it. We all knew it. Okay, so let's get the show rocking and rolling. All of our viewers and everyone that's here today, I want to welcome you all to Sawdust Talk tonight, brought to you by George Supply Co. Scott over there at George Supply does an amazing job of making sure that makers and doers and builders and other creative types can get merchandise and promotional products, and even puts together a web store for you so that you can direct people and helps to get all of your good vibes going throughout the universe. And if we have a decent crowd at the end of the show tonight, he's more than willing for us to give away a gift card. So tell all your friends to hop into this live with you, and we can make sure that somebody can go home with $20 of t-shirt money or coffee cup money. It's going to be some good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, and when the show started, I let you guys know that I'm TJ with TJT Workshop. I'm based in St. Louis, Missouri here. I do mostly wood turning, a lot of stuff on the lathe, but I do flat work. I do a little bit of metal working. I own some 3D printers. So if you can make it or it requires tools, I'd love to chat with you about it. Sam, you want to introduce yourself down there?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. Hi, Joey. I'm
Hello.
Sam of Woolly Petals Wood Co. I am a beginner but aspiring woodworker. I'm a sign maker in Calgary, Alberta, in Canada. Down to you,
Excellent.
Well, howdy, y'all. So I am Ed Mancini of Mancini Woodworking. I'm out of Louisville, Kentucky. I just retired from the Army, and I make stuff. I have CNC. I do a little bit of furniture, a little bit of signs, flags, kind of just a little bit of everything. And that's me.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And Joey.
So in Pete from Petrie's Workshop fashion, Joey,
Yes.
who the hell are you? Who do you
So
think you are? Tell us
Who do you think you are?
I,
Tell us
Who do you think you are?
I, I am a guy that's excited to be here tonight and honored to be a part of the show. I'm here every Wednesday night. I enjoy it. So to be on this side of the screen it's an honor. Um, I'm Joey Mayberry from Atlanta, living in Atlanta now, from Louisiana, with JMay Woodworks. So before I get started, I do want to give a shout out. So today is my son Colin, his 21st birthday.
Oh,
Oh.
Nice.
That's a big one,
Yeah.
21.
hey, that's
So
drinking age in the States, isn't it?
that's what
Yeah,
he
it
said. He
is.
stayed up to go buy a six pack.
Good
Oh,
for him.
Oh, awesome.
amazing.
And then tomorrow, which is in just a couple of hours, my little girl will be 5. So
Oh,
there's
Oh,
2 birthdays.
nice.
You got
That's awesome.
365 days, right? A whole year. I did it same month, 7th and 8th, back to
That's
back.
a lot
So,
of money in presents.
yeah, seriously.
absolutely. So,
Wonderful.
yeah, I'm Joey with JMay Woodworks. I'm from Louisiana. I live in Atlanta now, and I got started in woodworking around 2014, 2015. Kind of become official in 2015 with a shirt that said 2015. So I started out, pretty cool story, just doing salvage. For a while I would see these old houses that were built in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, and they were being torn down because people would buy the property, tear the house down, and build a modern day house on this property. And I watched these big track hoes come in and just wreck these houses, and they just break them into splinters, and they load it on the 18-wheeler trailers, and they haul it off to a landfill. So like, man, I got to be able to get in touch with some of the buyers of these properties or contractors and get permission to salvage some of this wood, and that's how it started. I would see a sign coming up on a piece of property that said, public meeting, this is going to be demolished, and that's when I'd start working. Who owns this land? Who do I need to talk to? And it paid off. I was able to salvage some beautiful lumber from these houses that were built, like I said, in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And you've got like true heart pine, like virgin timber that's tight grain, smells good. It's, a lot of oil in it. It's beautiful.
Wow.
And I wasn't a woodworker. I was a salvager, just because I hated to see this stuff get torn up, but I was denailing and then selling the wood to other people. And I connected with a guy in Louisiana who owns an architectural mill shop. That's a really big, it's period millworks, the Woodwright shop in Louisiana. And he just taught me, he's like, man, you got all this wood. Let's make some stuff. And started building tables, kitchen islands, different things. And that's where the love was born. And from that point, it took off for me. The great thing is, think about your projects and buying lumber. I didn't have to buy any lumber. Everything that I built with salvage lumber from, a house that I had taken down, and it had a story behind it. I sold tables, and I would tell the buyer, like, hey, this house was located here, caught on fire. I salvaged the wood, and that table had a story. So it was pretty cool. And then I'd left Louisiana to come to Atlanta. My amazing wife, who's probably watching right now, she, got moved here for work. So I moved here, and, all that good stuff. We had our daughter, and I came here. I didn't have a wood shop. So, and I wanted to get back into it. And then we wound up buying a house here in Atlanta that had a big basement. And that's the first thing I did. Moved in and boom, cranked it back up. And, the rest is history. My specialties, what I like to do, what I like to make, I like trestle style farm tables built with old wood. I've got a couple of them on my Instagrams that, you can see. Cutting boards, charcuterie boards, kind of I've kind of grown into the art of it. The art being, I can build a cutting board, but I don't just want to build a cutting board. I want a combination, the right pieces of wood to have an awe factor in the cutting board that I make, not just something simple. And that's my challenge. It's like, okay, what what combination of woods am I going to put together so that this is just a pretty board. And the charcuterie boards, I just recently came into some live edge slabs, and I had the intention, I mean, they're maple, they're beautiful maple. I had the intention on doing some other stuff with them, but one of them had a twist in it that was so bad, if you were to level that, if you were to flatten it, it would be gone. Like
that big.
Right. to take that twist out. So I'm like, well, I'm going to cut it up into 3 or 4 shorter pieces and make those boards. That's some of the big boards that you see me making. They're actually shorter pieces from that slab that are phenomenal. They're beautiful. And, we can all lay out wood and make the same board, but the wood is what's going to make the board. It's the eye for the right piece of wood that's going to be, something special. And that's kind of the art in it for me, and that's where it's gone. And that's what I enjoy doing. Also, for customers, I do built-in bookcases. I just got commissioned to build a book, an entire wall in an attorney's office of shelving of bookcases, and it's going to be the old lumber from an 1800s house, and the corners are just angle irons, just black painted angle iron with the old shelving, and it's going to look pretty cool. It's going to that hint of modern and old.
Heck yeah.
So I'm excited about that, and those projects, they get me excited. It's always chasing that next one.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, right?
Right.
Custom enjoyment. That's kind of how I'm with you on that, totally. And you're so right about the art of cutting boards. A cutting board is a cutting board, but it's also not. Like, it's about putting the same different woods together in different designs. There's so much to it. So you're so right.
Yeah. No, I've been creeping through your Instagram today, and you've got a spalted maple cutting board that for some reason only has like 3 comments on it, but it is absolutely breathtaking.
Well, thank you. I left that one live edge also. It's subtle, but it's the edges are live on it, and it's a beautiful cutting board.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, and that actually makes me want to start asking you a little bit about your drum sander, right? So in my creeps through the deepest, darkest corners of your Instagram, it looks like your Instagram and your cutting board fascination really starts to coincide with your purchase of your drum sander. Were you really into the cutting boards and doing that, or was it mostly furniture before that?
Well, I was doing some cutting boards, and honestly, you're right, because without the drum sander, you put so much time into one board, hand sanding, with an orbital sander or whatnot, that it actually wasn't fun. With the drum sander, you probably saw the big maple I just did that I was running through, and I didn't use a planer. I flattened it and everything with the drum sander, and it's perfect. It was a game changer for me.
What's the width of it?
Was that the big one with the green epoxy, right?
They're so those are the live edge maples, right?
Oh yeah, I love that one. I commented on that one because it's so stunning.
Yeah, and I like the subtle epoxy. River tables, they're cool. I appreciate them. I appreciate the work that goes into them. They're not my style. I like taking the original knots that are breaking out, pull them out and then fill that with the epoxy. And I use eye candy pigment because I just love eye candy. And there's about 3 colors that I use: the green, the blue, and there's a blood blue, a dark blue. And those seem to go real good with the wood that I'm using. But the board that I'm running through the sander, the big one, is 32 inches long and 17 wide. So it's
That's huge.
It's a big butcher block. And it was inspired. My wife is a phenomenal cook. She is the cook, and she loves cooking shows and watching them. And I'm watching cooking shows with her. and I see, you know, these celebrities on TV, they're all using these massive cutting boards. And I'm like, that, you know, that was kind of the inspiration. I'm like, I'm gonna do a big, and, you know, I'm doing a few of them, and they're really nice. This one that I'm doing now, it's gonna have a juice groove. I haven't made too many boards with a juice groove, so that's kind of a new thing for me, that I'm gonna do that. And it's a little tense because this board is beautiful, and if that router goes array, I don't have a CNC, then there's a lot of sanding off to get that out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's going to work out. I'm confident. I'm optimistic and confident.
Yes.
So,
you got this.
yeah. So, it's, as a matter of fact, it's very close. This is
So huge.
but the
That's
pattern,
cutting board.
it's really cool.
How thick is that?
It's 2.5.
Good
Crazy.
gracious.
So, but I did that in the drum sander, TJ. I ran it through my sander, and it did just fine. I had no problems, and it's you know, I've got the Supermax 1632. I always wish I'd have gone bigger, but that's my budget at the time. And, you know, I love it. I'd love one day to have a big drum sander. You know, something about 42 inches would be great.
Yeah,
We've
there you
got
go.
everybody
But-
going crazy in the chat about how beautiful and giant it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
we
actually-
always wish that we could have gone bigger in hindsight. Like, we always tell ourselves, like, you get
Right.
what you think is, oh, this is huge, a game changer for me, and then like a month down the road, you're like, damn it,
Right.
like 44 inches is not big enough.
Yeah. This is one that I just oiled this one tonight. It's still kind of wet.
Oh, so we get to see the good stuff here.
That's
Oh,
so
there's the-
beautiful.
The epoxy, just in the nuts, and
Is that the
So-
blood blue color?
that one's not. So I did mix it because the blood blue, when I mixed it, it kind of gave it a trail, almost a shadowing effect that I kind of liked. So, and that's the other thing, I'm kind of still kind of experimenting with some colors and stuff. And that's the fun part, you know. Sometimes it's a home run, sometimes it's not. So that's the fun part about all this.
Oh, of course.
Gotcha.
So I have a question for you. So going back, right? You had mentioned about taking these houses down, right?
Mhm.
These historical houses,
Right.
and you're trying to kind of resalvage this wood, and
Mhm.
you're using some of it yourself, but you're also selling some of it back out to the community so
Right.
they can use that wood as well. Now, being somebody who knows kind of what it's like to take out nails out of salvaged wood,
Right.
like, I have a huge respect for that. What the
Yeah.
heck was that like? Like, you're talking houses worth of wood, and all them nails that got to come out. Like, that's a deal right there.
It is. It's a big deal. But you know what's cool? A lot of the wood has square nails, and I save them. I have cans of square nails, and you know, if you go back and do research on square nails, there's some that are forged, made. There's some that are stamped out. There's like a whole history on square nails, so it's pretty cool, and it
That's
kind of
awesome.
helps. It helps to date the wood. But yeah, you know, sometimes they're in there deep, and you've got to dig into the wood and kind of damage the wood just to get the nail out. But that being said, that was one of the reasons that when I went with my joiner, I went with a helical head joiner, because if I did miss a nail by chance and run it through, then I don't have to change all the knives. I can turn a couple of squares and I'm back to work like much quicker. You know, when you've got to shut down, disassemble, pull knives, put new knives in, you know, that's why they cost more. You know, you have that convenience. Because if you're dealing with reclaimed wood, you're going to hit a nail eventually. There's something you missed and you're going to hit it. It sucks, but yeah, denailing's a big thing. That's why you can sell it much more expensive. You can make more money if you denail it yourself, but there's a lot of work that goes into that.
A lot of work and a lot of Band-Aids.
Yeah. Splinters, no doubt.
So I'm not
Nice
going to
old
cut.
lead splinters.
Yeah. I'm not going to cut Sam off completely, but
No.
there's a handful of questions down in the chat.
Yep.
Some of them are classic questions. Some of them are unique to you. But I just want to remind the rest of the audience that if you guys do have questions, I see a few of them popping up through the chat. Make sure that you hit the little question logo down at the bottom there. And we'll make sure that we get to as many of them as we can before our hour's up. Sam, please proceed.
Yes. No, I'm done. I was just making a joke that there would probably be lead paint splinters from reclaimed wood.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about the lead paint, and sometimes it's not worth fooling with.
No.
Definitely without a mask.
So I've got a couple of questions about the ways that you procure wood. I do a fair bit of harvesting urban lumber for the projects that I do in my shop. And I saw you have a couple of reels involving a sawmill. Is this on your premise, or is this a friend that helps you with this milling?
So back in Louisiana, I have access to two mills. Where the wood shop that I got started in, that wood shop has a sawmill. They've got a Wood-Mizer LT15. And basically what they use it for is they get these beams in, they'll denail them, they'll run the beams into floor planks, and they use the sawmill to cut the blanks for the flooring before they mill it. So I would use that, the owner who was my mentor, who's incredible guy, would allow me to use that. So when I go back, if I have something I want to mill, I can, run down to a shop. That one was an outdoor mill. His mill's indoors. That one you see me running the big cherry tree, that's an outdoor mill. That's a friend of mine right down from. So in Louisiana, all of our family's still there. My dad, my wife's family, brother, they're all still in Louisiana. So I actually cut that cherry tree on their property. It was rotten, but it was a good core. And I cut it down and ran it down the street and milled it. And it's sitting in the barn right now at their property drying, because drying time's like a year per inch. And I cut those in like a 2-inch slab, 2 1/4. But, Louisiana's hot. It's much hotter for longer. So you can cut that drying time down a little bit, because, back home, Christmas, I got t-shirts and shorts on. It's still 75 degrees. Not in Canada.
Yeah. I know.
But so yeah, that's the sawmill story. I also had access to some sinker cypress. We used to pull it out of the waters down there in Louisiana. I lived down by the swamp, and I milled a good bit of sinker cypress, and I have a bunch of that in the barn. I've got a lot of wood there that I need to bring here, but I don't have storage for it. That's my biggest problem. Even with reclaiming lumber, you've got to be able. You can reclaim all you want, but if you don't have a place to put it, you're hard pressed. Yeah. So that was one of my biggest challenges. Sometimes I'd have to turn down a house to tear down because I knew that I wasn't going to have any place to store the lumber, and that sucked.
Yeah, one of my landlord for my brewery business, there's a huge, 15,000 square foot warehouse connected to us that is just chock full of architectural salvage from all over St. Louis. And
right.
It's real dusty in there. But, there's people who are looking for it and people who will find it.
Right.
Right? But you still got to stash it somewhere. Right. So, yeah, no, I feel you. And the guys that are a part of our Cool Kids Sawdust Talk chat, they've seen some photos of my pretty obnoxious hoard of wood. I believe my wife is in the chat right now. My very understanding and patient and lovely wife puts up with the heaps of wood stashed all over our house. So yeah, man, I feel you.
Yeah, that's my brother-in-law is in there now. He just commented that during one of the hurricanes they lost a white oak that like 3 of us couldn't put our arms around it and touch. This thing was massive.
Oh wow!
Just a beautiful white oak.
Wow.
And because of the size of it and time and trying to get it cut, it just didn't really work out. And at some point, stuff's got to get moved out the way and got to get moved on.
Can't lay there forever.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's a lot to process, right? Like even if you tried to chainsaw mill that in place, right, you're still looking at, $1,500 of saw and heaps of blades and
Right.
tons of fuel. And I mean, that's a huge endeavor.
You've got to have
Unless,
a pretty big machine to move that even onto a mill. The mill's got to be big. You got to, there's a lot of wheels in the cog to get that on a mill and get it milled up. But if you had the right equipment, that thing would have been beautiful. White oaks, that's some of the most stable lumber to build with. It stays flat. It doesn't really twist. It's good wood. So yeah.
You seal that end grain when you lay it out to dry so it doesn't crack halfway down. But yeah, absolutely.
Stop her from checking.
Yep. Got to make sure you sticker it proper. Absolutely. So I'm going to go into the question box down here, as Sam calls it, the tickle trunk. Is that right?
I'm bringing that up again.
I did hear that.
Oh, come on.
Ed, Sam, did you have anything that you wanted to pop in before we start digging in here?
Well, yeah, I just quickly wanted to, Ed, I'm going to go first. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, you're good.
Even though it's Ed's birthday.
Is it?
I did it.
For 36 more minutes.
Happy
it's
birthday.
His 9th year into his 30s.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, I also went all the way down to the beginning of your Instagram page, Billy. And my question is, so you started your business in 2015. You joined the Gram 2021. What made you come here?
So I went to Workbench last year, and at Workbench, I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. I was blown away, having not been there before, not really being a maker, but not involved in the maker community. I couldn't get over how tight the community is. Like there were people, just like a lot of hugs being given. I haven't seen you in a while. How you been? It was great. It was a lot of fun. I can sit here and talk. If you see me at Workbench, I'm a little more shy in person. I don't really, I guess I'm not the first to engage. But it was nice just to see that community. And then I heard a lot about, like, I don't think I ever did a reel before. I didn't even know what a reel was before Workbench. I was more of the doer and not really as much in social media. And I had a lot on Facebook. I think I still have a lot on Facebook that I haven't carried over to Instagram. But I think Workbench did it for me, just seeing the tightness. And there's people I met at Workbench who, like, I still stay in touch with. Big Sky Maker, he's always got stuff going on. He's doing good on reels. Just, these are just people who I stay in touch with, and I thought it was pretty cool. So that's kind of where it took off.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that.
That actually goes right into my question, actually. So you went to Workbench Con. You got some pictures on here with some tall douchebag named Bent, and you have House of Timber and
the gorgeous
April Wilkinson,
Lizzie.
right? And so going there as a woodworker without a big social media footprint, aside from like learning what the community and how close the community is, what do you feel like the actual Workbench Con can offer to people like me, 1,300 followers? I don't have a big social media footprint, and I'm still a new woodworker. Like, what do you think you pulled from that others can get from it?
So I had a little bit of knowledge going into Workbench, but Workbench kind of just puts it all together, and there's great guys in there. I'm trying to think of names here, like John,
Mr.
Malecki.
Yeah,
John Malecki. Yeah, okay.
There's also Lincoln Street, Woodworks. So,
which is John also.
Lincoln Street's presentation was phenomenal. He laid out like a successful roadmap on how to do this. And clearly I didn't take good notes. But I enjoyed it, and he laid it out, and there's a lot of things that people can tell you, and then you kind of, you go your own direction and try to figure it out yourself with bits and parts of what they give you. But there were a lot of classes in there that, they gave you a roadmap to improve. If you're doing Twitter, if you're doing TikTok, if you're doing Instagram, like this is what you should be looking for. And they're telling you based off of their successes and their failures, like what didn't work, what does work. And, that's a lot of good things to take away, and come back and just implement what they're saying to help your Instagram grow. And we talked about this the other night, Ed. I cannot get my Instagram to go over 10,000. I'm convinced there's a guy there with a switch or a person with a switch who at $9.99 like shuts mine down.
Yeah, views. Yeah.
Nobody else can see it. But
you and everyone else, Joey.
I'm sure it'll happen.
Tormented.
DJ, it's like you saw that cutting board and there's like 3 comments and hardly any stuff. I can post stuff like that and not get a lot of activity. Post something kind of silly or like the one on the bandsaw, and I got like 8,900 in 2 hours, and it stopped. It just 3 hours later, it went from like 89 to like 8904.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's what I don't understand. Like, how does it just shut off? Yeah. But anyway, I'll keep doing what I do and try to make it better each time.
No, for sure. You got to do it for you. If you make yourself laugh or if you're proud of yourself, post it, because, people are looking. And yeah. And you know what? Instagram kind of becomes your portfolio, or just for me personally.
Right.
Right. So like your customers are going to go and you might get messages of like a post you did a year ago. Like, I want this. And I think that's so cool. So, just do it for you first. Right.
I agree. Because you can become consumed, and I'll do Instagram, but at the end of the day, I've also got orders to fill, like things to do like I've got to put everything down and go to work. Yeah. So
yes,
it's
which brings me to a question. What do you do for work?
All right. So on my shirt, I have a home improvement company here in Atlanta. It's called JMay Services LLC. It really goes hand in hand with my woodwork because
absolutely
today, I was doing deck repairs and rot repair and stuff on a townhome here in Atlanta, and most of my clientele are real estate agents that have a house that's about to go on the market, and I'll go into that house and do the improvements before it goes on the market so that it shows better, it looks fresher. From changing the light fixtures, changing the plumbing fixtures, tiling the backsplashes. Just finished one today with a new tile backsplash and new tile on the kitchen floor. Looks beautiful. It's about to go on the market, and that keeps me busy. I right now I stay 2 months booked. I've got people calling me, and I have to tell them, hey, I want to help you, but I can't. I had a guy call me today. He's got a water leak from his garbage disposal, and like I want to drop what I'm doing and go help him, but I can't. And it's hard for me to say no a lot of times. I'll take on more than I can handle, knowing I'm taking on more than I can handle, but I want to help people. Like, I want to be there. I want to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to really rein that back. But to answer your question, I do deck builds, deck repairs, light plumbing, light electrical, kind of everything.
Very cool.
And my woodwork ties into it because a lot of my customers want a custom built in, or some custom piece made for their home, and mud room, different things like that. So it all goes hand in hand. Shutter repairs.
Yeah, wow. No, you took a closet the size of a bedroom and turned it into a bedroom with a closet.
Right.
in your posts. And I mean, I understand looking at it that like that was the same room,
Right.
but it was dramatic
Right.
how different that space change was.
I had a 2-bedroom condo that would not sell. People wanted a 3-bedroom, and it was originally a 3, but they took the bedroom next to the master, turned it into a big closet with the master. So when it wouldn't sell, we converted that back to a bedroom. It sold within 2 weeks. So
that's crazy.
That's good for me. It's great for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. And
All
I
right,
enjoy
so
it.
I need to introduce you to a pretty famous question that gets thrown around whenever TJ's hosting, but it was asked by Kyle. I want to make this abundantly clear.
I saw it.
Mr. Brewer wants to know if you are aware that RoboCop is the best movie of all time.
I do. That's because I starred in it.
That's awesome. Yes, you are. You are Peter Weller. This is my dream. Everything's coming up, TJ. But yeah,
Kyle,
it's got everything.
Kyle's probably asking that because I gave a tidbit of information in my earlier interview with Kyle, before all this, where I was in law enforcement for 25 years. I'm retired from an agency just outside of New Orleans, Louisiana, where I did 25 years and retired and moved to Atlanta.
So you were RoboCop. That's amazing.
I was.
Wow, 25 years.
It was a good career. I enjoyed it, but I'm enjoying the next chapter just as much.
Absolutely.
You have not slowed down, that's for sure.
And look, my last name's Mayberry, so imagine being a cop in a small town.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
Mayberry.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for making that comment so that I didn't have to. You saved me a question.
No, I didn't carry one bullet. I had more than that.
That's funny.
All right, so Senmi is asking the real hard-hitting questions here. He wants to know who has the best shop lives on Instagram.
I didn't want to ask that one.
Who has the best shop lives on Instagram?
Oh man.
We'll give you this easy one. You can say it's the birthday boy.
You could say it's Sawdust Talk.
I think it's Sawdust Talk.
Hey! Good.
I would say
Fair enough.
So in all honesty, like I'm a devout follower. So when I came across it, I guess it was about maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago is when I discovered it. And I told my wife, I'm like, this is a good show. I mean, it's informative. It's just good. And then every Wednesday night. Now keep in mind, I'm in Atlanta, so we're on Eastern time.
Yep.
It's 11:36 right now.
Yep.
So I go to bed late watching y'all, but it's worth it. I really enjoy it.
Oh, do you hear that, Kyle?
I 100% agree. That's the only reason I'm here.
Same.
Same.
No, I got hooked on episode 1. I saw that there was some St. Louis guy who was going to start going live, and I was like, well, I got to see what this guy's all about. And I was like, yeah, no, these guys are great. We got to be a part of this.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Sam, do you want to pick a question out of the tickle trunk?
Okay, hang on. Let me open the tickle trunk. Okay, let's see. All right, country. How do I select it?
Just you say the question and I'll poke it.
Okay, deal. So it's Country Road Workshop is asking 2 questions. They're cheating. Do you have any wormy chestnut, and do you have any square nails for sale? I should have read that before. That's a good DM.
I don't have any wormy chestnut. So the strange thing, like in Louisiana, everything that I reclaimed was either like old virgin growth antique heart pine or cypress. And that has to do with there were houses that were made with barge board, and it was literally the barge would carry this lumber down the river, And then when it would get to where it was going, not only was the lumber taken off, but the whole barge was disassembled and used. So
What?
they were, and barge board is like 12 to 14 inch wide planks that are an inch and a quarter thick. And
Wow.
these walls didn't have studs. I'd go take a shotgun house down, and it was just the barge board, no studding at all. So nothing was built out of wormy chestnut. I do have a lot of square nails, and I am willing to part with them because I've got so many. I just have to grab them when I go back to Louisiana, and I'll be going back the second week in November.
Well, there you go, friend. Make sure you DM Joey.
Yeah, send me a message so that I can keep it and get back with you.
Yeah. And selling them in units of Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
Ed, you want to pick one out of the box?
Yeah, so this one's from Kyle. If you could build anything, what would it be, and what tools would you need to buy to make it happen? Or what would you could use it as an excuse to buy tools? So
if I could, I think I'm already building it. I love to build my trestle style farm tables. It's probably my favorite build. I hadn't built one in a while because I haven't had the wood here in Atlanta, and I just landed a bunch of great wood. So here in Atlanta, I don't have the resources to reclaim, so I've been buying lumber at auctions. I just bought 2,000 board feet of, that's one of my tables right there.
Yeah, that rough sawn is awesome, man.
That's
Yeah, and I'd like to talk more about that. But the lumber that I just bought from auction was 2,000 board feet, and I paid around $450 for the whole thing. It's out there. It's just you got to find it. You got to find the auctions. Bid on it, win it, go pick it up. It was a 2.5 hour drive. I bought some maple out of north of Charleston. $100 a pallet. There's like 600 board feet on this pallet of kiln dried sized maple. And that's what I'm building, like the butcher block. I'm going through the stack. I got 3 pallets of it. And it's,
nice.
It's out there.
And was that rosewood that you picked up from one of these auctions also?
No, the rosewood, I paid a premium because I bought it from Rockler. And
because it's super pretty. Whatever you picked well.
That rosewood is gorgeous, and it is dense. It is very, very heavy, but it's one of the prettiest woods that I've worked with. And I've only got like 3 boards made out of it, and I want to do some more. It's really pretty. But TJ, going back to the table with the saw marks, so many people, they get the old wood, and the first thing they want to do is run it through a planer, flatten it, and then build something. And it's just, when you run that through a planer, you're just taking off all that character, all that beauty. The only thing I did to that table was took an orbitable sander and spent many hours just working it down where there's no splinters. It's smooth as can be. The character's there. It's got about 5 coats of tung oil, and then I waxed it with bison wax, and buffed it, and that thing came out like glass. It is just a beautiful table.
And it did eventually cure with 5 coats of tung oil.
Oh,
wow.
That's
a lot of waiting, dude.
Man, that wood drank. When you pour the first coat of tung oil, it's gone. Like, you rub your hand, it's dry. That wood just sucks it up. It's so dry, it just sucks it up. I feed it the tung oil until it stops receiving it. Once it stops receiving it, then I stop. Buff it off, get all the excess off, and then move on to my next stage from there. And, it works real well for me. Back then, I didn't have Rubio Monocoat or anything like that to put on there with like 1 coat, but
Somebody's asking if you waxed on or waxed off.
Yeah, Paul.
It was on.
On?
Yeah, you gave it the Miyagi treatment.
So
Can't help myself.
wax on. That's great.
Yeah, that's funny.
So yeah, those that's kind of how I finish those farm tables, and they come out great. You know, it's a good finish. I do want to try some other finishes, and I think that's the biggest area of woodworking that I'm still exploring, still learning about, is finishes. I mean, there's not just one or two finishes. Now there are so many different finishes, and it actually gets confusing.
Yeah.
Joey,
You know, and
sorry to cut you off. Can you go into more detail about the bison wax? Was that what it was? Bison wax?
yeah,
Somebody's asking bison
It's,
what?
it's called Black Bison. I think the company.
Jeff's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, am I missing something?
No,
If you can see.
no.
The chat,
There
the
you go.
comments are hilarious.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
So, Liberon, it's it's a good wax. That one's leaking. But yeah, it's like I said, it works out well. I'm still learning. I've never used Rubio Monocoat, but it's in my future. I can tell you that.
Nice.
Macy from Sweet Pine wants to know what is the largest monster butcher block charcuterie cutting board that you've made, planned to made, or if you're gonna go even bigger once the internet gets a hold of the fact that you're the guy who's capable of making such beautiful, massive boards.
So with the cutting boards, I kind of like the 32-inch, 17. I would like to go maybe 20 by 32, a little bit. This one's like a big rectangle where it's kind of more proportion, a more proportioned rectangle, if that makes sense. The charcuterie boards, this is probably as big as I'll go, because
I mean, you gotta really like smoked meats and cheeses to fill that thing up. And the thing is that like I've been to, we've had that party at our house,
right?
where that cheese board would have been just full. And I mean, think of how many dips you can set on that. Oh, yeah. No, you gotta start staging it and then invite Ed down from Kentucky because I think he's closest.
Yeah, that's not too far away. Yeah,
It's not.
Yeah.
They
This
make
is,
that drive every weekend.
this this is probably as big as I'll go. But I mean, that maple. Look at that character in the grain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No,
It's
you
ridiculous.
couldn't have cut that smaller, or you'd have been doing the wood a disservice. It was a great choice.
Yeah,
Joey, just speaking about that board, I noticed there's a question. Pricing wise, are you willing to discuss pricing? How do you price your stuff?
So I think that's an ever evolving.
Yes.
I've gone to Etsy and just kind of shook my head at, some of these cutting boards. Hey, this is black walnut $79.99 cutting board. It's like, what are you doing? You're cutting yourself short. You put so much work into making it. The lumber itself is expensive. And if you're buying black walnut right now, it's $13, $14 a board foot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you sell a board for $80. You made $20, $15 on the board.
Maybe.
I don't get that. I don't know. A board this size, talking to my wife and I, she's kind of helping me do some of the pricing stuff and considering like what goes into it, how much I paid for the slab itself, things like that. Like that would be around $225, $250, in that price range for that board. The big board that I have, that's 17 by 32 butcher block. I see those on, online, like good ones, 450, 500, some of them up to 600. I'm still trying to find out where I'm going to be on that, maybe in the fours, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you do your selling, Joey? Do you sell on Etsy?
So, no, I don't sell on Etsy. And I had this talk with Ed, and I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm in my first art show in Louisiana, November 12th and 13th. It's called the Three Rivers Art Fest. It was just chosen as one of the top 100 art festivals in the country. They released a list, and that list is published, so you can see if there's anything in your areas that are on that list, and those are good shows. To get into the show, I had to send pictures, no name. I couldn't have a name anywhere on it. It went before a blind jury. So there's, a group of people in a room. They look at your stuff and they make a decision whether they want you or they're going to pass on you. And I got accepted. They liked my work.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's huge.
So that's why I'm making a lot of this inventory. It's a big show. The show draws, 70, 80,000 people in a weekend. It's a big show. And it's a fun show. And
you better have some inventory then.
well, my goal is to my goal is to go with 200 pieces. I don't know that I'm going to have that. I'm halfway there, and it's in November. So that was my goal. But I'm still cranking stuff out every day. I'm still getting, and I do other stuff. I do spoons. I don't know if you saw my spoons on my page. I do little jewelry boxes and some other stuff. But the spoons are new to me, but I like it. It's a lot of fun building spoons.
Little market tip, lots of different price points for the way. You have to have, cheap, impulsive buys, and then your beautiful stuff.
Right. And I have boards that start at $55, $45 on up, higher. So I've kind of got everything in there. It is a higher end show. I'm excited about that. And you know what I don't sell? I'm going to come back with and do some more shows. I also got accepted into the Sandy Springs show here in Atlanta, which is the end of this month. They didn't notify me until like 2 days ago. I guess I was on a waiting list, and we're going on vacation that same weekend. So I'm going to have to decline my position at that one.
Yeah.
But, I'm going to have a big variety. I'm excited about the show. It's a nice show. And back to the Etsy question. So I enjoy interacting with people. So to sit in a tent for a weekend and interact with the people who are going to stop by my booth as they walk by, that's worth doing this job. That's worth doing what I do. I love to interact with people. You don't get that on Etsy. You just sell stuff.
Yeah.
So I really want to focus more on shows all over and do some of that stuff. And, if I don't make a mint doing it, I'm going to make friends. I'm going to meet new people. I'm going to develop new relationships. And that's what life's about. That's what's good for me.
Good for you.
Right.
Heck yeah.
All right. Well, we've got about 10 minutes left in the show. Do we want to go lightning round?
Yeah, sure.
Do we go into the tickle trunk and then we just start knocking them out? 1116 Woodworks needs to know, is a hot dog a sandwich or a taco?
Taco.
Good answer.
All right. 1116 Woodworks, all out sander battle royale. Which brand comes out on top?
Festool. I have the Festool sander and vacuum, and it's game changer for me. My shop is so much cleaner.
What's your and your wife's favorite cooking show?
So Chip and Joanne, we like to watch Magnolia Channel, and Joanne does some good stuff. My wife has hundreds, but she's good at it. My brother-in-law is a chef. That's just in their family. It's incredible.
Nice.
Kyle wants to know if you're going to Workbench Con next year, this next year.
Absolutely.
Spring.
I'm in. And luckily, since I'm in Atlanta, the Workbench is only like 3 miles from my house.
Yes.
It's super close.
Stumble home.
So this one's a little bit of a longer question, but we're going to ask it anyway. Patsy wants to know, what's your dream project that you would like to make for you?
That's good. It's funny to ask that because I'm so in the mindset of customer build outs and like all the things that I have in the works for customers that, I often think about how I want to redevelop my shop. Like I see these people who are in their shops and they're making these, the walls with the cleats that, you can just hang your drills. I would love to spend time and just really do my shop where I can find things, because I've got, I think, 62 tape measures, and I don't know where any of them are.
What?
I put
They're
them
in your
everywhere so I
tickle
can find
trunk.
them. I put them everywhere so I can find them, and I still can't find them. But no, kidding aside, I'd love to really, build my own workbench with the vise, that sort of stuff. But
Nice.
I'm so driven by customers right now, it's hard to think about.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a healthy problem to have, to be honest.
Yeah.
Macy wants to know what brand of epoxy you're using, and you mentioned eye candy. Are they at the top of the list for you as far as pigments go?
So I love eye candy. I have some diamond, from Workbench, but I always go back to my eye candy. I just like it. I think the colors are more vibrant. I'm using Total Boat, and I like Total Boat.
Nice. Sam?
Oh, I don't know. I lost track of, let's see. We know that this is not your full-time gig.
Close.
Yeah. What's your favorite tool? Did we go over that yet?
No.
Your favorite
I don't think we actually got what is your favorite tool.
So I'd say my favorite tool in the shop is my joiner. I love my joiner. And if you have a joiner, keeping the feed beds from that little speck of rust that shows up on it is nearly impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm constantly walking by and is that a speck? Break out the wax. It's trying to keep it nice.
Wow.
You should look
Sounds
into the
super high
new
maintenance.
hotness. You should look into the new hotness of carbon method.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Well, I mean, it's.
You don't have to say.
I gotta throw
RoboCop.
Top Gun out there.
Top Gun. All right.
The original.
Oh.
I saw the new Top Gun. The original. It was good. It's good. The original. Incredible movie.
Wait, is there a newer one than what's this crazy?
There's like it came out what 6,
Tom
7
Cruise.
months ago?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, Tom Cruise. That's the original.
You have to.
Well, the new one's Tom Cruise too.
They want you to believe a lot when they get shot down, steal a plane from a foreign country, fly the plane out, and then shoot down the most modern plane with an antiquate. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, okay. Real quick before we jump into another question, for those of you who are in the audience that are not familiar with how some of this Instagram live stuff works, up here where my finger's gesturing, where it says Sawdust Talk and JMay, there's a little arrow that it's right there. If you tap that down, it's going to give you a list of everybody that's in the room, including the 4 people that are in the show. And I want to make sure that if you're not already following JMay, there should be a little blue or colored button to poke that. And you can make sure that you follow along so that you can see his submissions and his work as he builds towards that art show. So yeah, let's make sure that we do that.
Yes, definitely.
And I hope to do some live feeds from the art show once I get set up. Do some live stuff and showing how the booth looks.
Yeah.
And that sort of stuff.
I like me some lives. I'm gonna
Right.
be on there. I'm coming on
All
there
right.
with you.
Yeah.
So before we get around to raffling off amazing gift cards, we have one more question from Kyle, and I think we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but I want to nail down what is your favorite build and what is your least favorite build?
Least favorite build. It's tough. I don't know if I have a least favorite. Some floating shelves. I was building some floating shelves, and it just was not going to go the way I wanted it to go. The mitered corners, like it was out of cedar. The corners kept opening. Even if I do a perfect cut, it's like the corners kept opening. I wanted these floating shelves to be a certain way, and now all that cedar's like outside.
Oh man.
And I think it was more the wood than anything, you know, getting the right wood to do that. And basically there was going to be a 2x4 attached to the wall, and then that would slide over the 2x4 and then screw in, you know, on the top and bottom to hold it. They were short, they weren't that deep, and it just didn't go as planned. So I'll say this. I'll put a spin on this. Favorite versus special. And Sam, you saw one of my builds that was really special, and it was the memorial flag holder for a Marine that died, and the family contacted me and said they were trying to get one and it wasn't working out, and you know, would I make this? So I jumped on it and made that, and it was
me teary-eyed.
it was just a special build because the wife contacted me back and she said, you know, our kids see this every time they walk by the fireplace. It's sitting on the mantle. Like, thank you for doing it. And I'm like, thank you for letting me do it.
Yeah, that's an honor.
Yeah, that was a really great build, and I'd never built one before. So, you know, when you haven't built something and it's your first build and it's for something of that nature, you want it to be right. And, you know, did some research and, you know, found like angles and the size, because, you know, all these questions are popping in my head, like, all right, what size is the flag? What size does the triangle need to be to fit that flag and fit it snug? You know, all these questions. So, yeah, I did some research and found everything, and I built it, and it came out great. I think the hardest part of the build was cutting the glass to fit in, because I haven't done much glass cutting, and yeah, go buy glass, come back, and I get a perfectly straight line, but at the very end, it turns on the
curve. Yeah.
And it's just enough to see. And I'm like, well, you can't see that. I'm going back to the store. I'm going to buy 2 pieces this time so I can plan for a mistake. But anyway, it all came out, you know, and yeah, that was a special build.
That's awesome.
That's just amazing.
Yeah.
Ed and Sam, you guys want to ask one final question, and then we're gonna probably run just a touch over. I know it's midnight 30 in Atlanta, but it'll be worth it so that we can give somebody a gift card.
Absolutely.
Yes. So there's no questions in the chat that I don't see, and I'm looking through my stuff. I feel like we covered all of my questions. And I'm so glad that, by the way, I'm so glad that we touched on your special piece, because that definitely got my heart, and it keeps like choking me up because it's like so special.
Right.
Really, a really special honor that you could do that. And not only that, but you nailed it.
Yeah, thank you. And I just felt like Purple Heart fit the project. So it's black walnut and Purple Heart, and it just, you know, Purple Heart fit.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
So for me, what did we miss? And TJ might be asking that, but like, what do you want everybody watching to know about you that we didn't cover?
I would say that if you do this and you have a passion for woodwork, do what you love. You know, stick with the projects that you love to do. And if there's something that you don't want to do, don't do it. Do what you love. You know, at the end of the day, you know, there's the old saying, if you do what you love, it never feels like work. And, you know, when I do woodwork, it just never feels like work. I'll work all day long on home improvements. I come home at the end of the day, run down to my shop, and then that evening I'm working in the shop, and it's more of a way to decompress than it is to work. So I would say, you know, keep it that way. Keep it to be what helps you to decompress, and keep the enjoyment in what you're doing.
I love that.
Yeah, if that doesn't get everybody ready to run through a brick wall right into their shop, I don't know what will, man. That's awesome. My final question is sort of a two-parter, which is music on or music off in the shop? And if you're listening to music, what's it been recently?
Oh, on. always on. I'm a Pandora listener, so you know I'm a country guy. I love some Luke Combs. I love Morgan Wallen, and I'll usually like Morgan Wallen radio, and I'll have it on. And then my tools, you know, they're loud, so I can't hear the radio. So I just ordered a set of Bluetooth headphones.
Nice.
So excited! I get them in, and my daughter's taking possession of them. They're hers now.
Oh yeah, that was your latest reel. Saw that.
It's so funny because she brought me the package. She's like, "Hey, this is yours. It just came in Amazon." She brings it to me, and I'm like, "Well, I'm on a live," and she's like, "Okay," and she turns to the camera and she starts talking, and she's like touching her face and her hands. I'm like,
Adorable.
I just let her go with it. It's hilarious. She's only going to be that age once, you know, and it's like,
that's right.
I'm going to have that reel to go back and watch for the rest of my life. And she comes down here and shouts, look, she's got like her own apron.
Oh.
And,
That's adorable.
That's so cute.
my hope is that when I'm gone, you know, she'll always remember, you know, her dad.
She will.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So the time is now 11:03, which means, Joey, if you're not familiar, we need you to find a pencil and then to write a number between 1 and 25 backwards or forwards, it doesn't really matter, onto that piece of paper. And after you get it written, we all have to keep an eye on chat as best as we can
It's written.
to see how long it takes for someone to guess it. Are you prepared?
I'm ready.
Okay, chat, very, very carefully select a number between 1 and 25.
All right.
Let's see
All right,
who gets it.
everybody. 17.
17, classic.
Yeah.
3. 14.
14.
11. 26. 13.
46.
6.
Somebody missed the memo.
14. 19. 19.
Negative 17, all right.
8. 22. 15.
10.
13. 2.
12 and 87.
1, 2, 8, 7. 9, 13. 47. 6.
Y'all writing all this down?
2.
What?
7.
How is no one getting it?
2.
Can I show the number?
Nope,
Not
not yet, unless you
4.
saw somebody guess it.
4.
I kind of did.
Oh, you did.
Oh, okay.
You saw
So,
something. What's the number?
17.
Oh,
I
man.
mean, that was our first
Nice.
one.
That was
Then-
way to
Woodworks.
go.
That was Scott.
It worked.
Woodworks.
It worked. Scott wins. It worked.
Well,
Finally.
funny.
Okay.
Is Scott Send Me Woodworks?
Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
Scott. Yeah.
Hey,
Nobody
Scott.
ever actually writes down 17.
But actually, that's not necessarily true. 17 won like the first 3 giveaways,
Oh, yeah.
on a
that's true.
on a
That's
piece
true.
of maple.
which is incredible. Okay, Scott, send me at TJT or George Design Co. or Sawdust Talk or whatever. We'll get you a $20 gift card to George Supply Co. and just another kick for Scott over at George Supply Co. You guys got to remember that, like, if you're doing banners or trade shows or art shows, I've got one that's straightening out over there on the bench back there. The prices are good. The product's fantastic. The grommets are really well made. Reach out to George Supply Co. Get you a banner, get you a promotional mug, a hat, a shirt, and some swag, okay?
Definitely.
Awesome.
He's got beautiful stuff. It's so professional. Even just the ability to have your own little online shop through him is very cool if you don't have a website.
Yeah, for sure.
Joey, thank you so much for sharing an hour with us and staying up late on Eastern time, talking about nerdy wood stuff with a bunch of, as one of my friends referred to us as blockheads, because we're all wood enthusiasts. It's
I love that.
yeah, it's pretty delightful. So, but yeah, man, we're going to be on Sawdust Talk, same bat time, same bat channel next week. That's 10 p.m. Central.
Well, thank you all for
Take it.
having me. It's it is an honor to be a part of it. So I appreciate it.
Heck yeah.
Thanks so much.
Joey.
All right.
Glad I could be here for it.
Yeah.
I still
Also,
need-
yeah, so we haven't
I still
really
need to
given
hear
Ed
about-
that hard of a time for his birthday. Do we all? I'm not singing because I love you, Ed, but I'll send you an audio message later of me singing happy birthday to you.
I've
But
bombarded
can we
Ed
all
enough.
just point with our respective cameras at where Ed is and say happy birthday,
Happy
Ed?
birthday,
Happy
Ed.
birthday, we're poking.
Happy birthday, Ed. And happy birthday to Joey's son. And then tomorrow,
Yes.
Joey's.
No.
Well, today,
Daughter.
today, yeah.
Yesterday.
No,
Joey's
today.
son.
Yes,
It's
today
12
there.
o'clock.
His daughter.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very
thank y'all.
cool.
That's
All right,
awesome.
guys. Have a good night. We'll see you next week.
Have a great night.